Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. We'll wait for the last few minutes or last few people to take their seats. Good morning, everyone. I hope you were all very inspired by Thomas's Rao talk about sustainability and circularity, and do the two do they create trade-offs or win-win situations? I think it's a very good question, and I think after having spent decades in the field, that his vision is still so new and challenging for us says a lot about what a pioneer he is. Welcome to this subsession. My name is Gabrielle Smith. I'm a consultant at Climate Neutral Group, and this is a subsession of how to use education to inspire people in your organization to act on sustainability. This session will be recorded by the camera in the back. And to get everyone started, who here, by show of hand, is pushing for more sustainability in their organization? Okay, so everyone, you've come to the right session, because this is exactly what we want to give you some tips on. We'll use Mentimeter as well to get your input, and we'll reserve some time for questions at the end. I'm going to start this timer, actually. I'm very excited for the computer to work and to introduce you to our two speakers. First up, we have an expert in the field of education and sustainability. She is head of corporate learning at Anthesis Labola. Please welcome Alba Bonas. Should be on.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here.
And then we have our second speaker, who is here to share his insights about how to anchor sustainability in an organization with over 40,000 employees in 5 countries. He is head of impact at Vebego International. Please welcome Roy Bujawan.
Thank you, Gabriella, for the introduction and the invitation.
Roy, for those who might not know Vebego, can you share shortly what you do at Vebego?
As you mentioned, Vebego it's a large company, and we are operating in 5 countries, active in cleaning, landscaping, healthcare, and facility management, with about 42,000 employees, of which 75% is women and 75% is bicultural. And I was hired about a year ago to set up a new strategy for the whole group. So that's my role: strategy, policy, stakeholder management, and budgeting.
Thank you. We have you as audience as our third panelist. So we would like you to go to menti.com, enter your code, and answer this question: what are your expectations for this session? And then hopefully, obviously, we'll meet those expectations and you go home as very inspired and satisfied customer of this subsession. Alba, do you have some expectations for the session? What do you hope for?
Yeah, sure. I hope to inspire you a little bit and encourage you to start people-based transformations and to start encouraging your teams and promoting change and creating new agents of change within your organizations. I don't know if it's too ambitious, but I will try to do this.
Well, I mean, we have 30 minutes, so seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Great. The answers are coming in. Roy, do you have a similar expectation?
Well, I will try to inspire you, but I certainly hope to be inspired by you as well.
Yeah. And if we see here inspiration, call to action, I like that. It's really not about only educating, but really how to make that bridge then to act on that knowledge that they have. I don't know if we can make this scroll, nudging, how to get tips, inspiration, draagvlak, which is important. Yeah, getting people to cultural change. That's great. I think that is exactly what we're going to be focusing on.
Yeah, well, just for a start, we are in a decisive decade, so we need change, no? As Rene and Thomas said before, and unfortunately, I don't want to deprime you, to make you sad. But 2/3 of change initiative actually fail. So why do you think these initiatives are failing? Actually, most of the change initiatives fail because of people, because we don't involve people. We make a plan, we make a strategy, we make all the numbers, all the processes, all the structure, but we don't think in how to involve people in this process, no? So most of the change initiatives fail because of there's a lack of understanding of what we are asking for. There is no support, maybe from senior leaders. There is poor communication. There is no there's no involving of people. So how can we change that? How can we really not be the 2/3 and be the 1/3 that actually success, no, in changing and promoting this transformation? So here's a short sentence. Organizations don't change. It's people who is changing. No? People without their organization becomes nothing. Becomes a building maybe, or becomes numbers. But we need people to be part of this change. We need people to be part of this transformation. And sometimes we are not making enough efforts to involve them and to make a people-based transformation.
Roy, is this what you recognize as well within Vebego? Is there enough focus on the people-oriented side of things, or is it too much still numbers, strategies?
I do recognize it, and the main challenge for us, we focus on people, but the organization is so big, 80 business units in 5 countries, local cultures, local laws, regulations, and people are acting differently. So indeed, the people are the challenge.
Yeah, and in all these different kind of settings and different systems. Yeah, that's a very good point.
So I don't know if you have faced some people-related barriers. I think it will be good to.
So if you've already tried to make these changes within your organization, have you noticed that there are people-oriented barriers that actually prevent you from making this change, or have you been focused maybe also too much on the graphs and the numbers to make this work? So we're very interested to hear what you have to say. Other priorities, I think prioritization is always a key. How do you get it top of mind of senior leaders and management especially?
Yeah, I think that most of the issues that you are saying are the most common one. There's always this resistance of change. We are human, so this is something naturally. So we want to stay like in the status quo, and sometimes it's difficult to make that jump and to change. But as we said, that is needed, to do that.
There are a few that are starting to stand out. So no time, basically a priority issue as well, of course. Do you have no time, or are you not making time for this? Lack of knowledge. I think this is something that you must encounter every day when you advise companies about this as well.
Yeah, well, no time, lack of resources, lack of, or maybe it's too expensive. I don't know. There's not a magic answer for that. Obviously, involving people, you will need effort to do that. But think also in how will cost also your loss of competitivity, maybe because of you are not involving people, or what will happen maybe if you lose talent. No? People will go to other companies that maybe are engaging them more, or what will happen if you actually fail. That will cost you more. So it's an inversion of time, and it's an inversion of money, obviously, but it's a needed inversion, no?
Roy, do you see that people within Vebego know about sustainability and about the need for change towards a more sustainable way of doing business?
Certainly, I do recognize all of them, except one, age. I don't know who said age. Is this a mistyping, or can the person explain what it means?
I think I also saw older generation in there.
Yeah, I think that maybe no.
Oh, old people stuck. Okay.
Stuck in
in
their
old
ways.
patterns and All right, I understand. Yeah, yeah. No, but again, I really understand and your remarks. And when I started a year ago, I have a banking background, so I have been working for ING for 27 years and have implemented a central strategy there as well for impact. So I had a similar role there, and we had to deal with 42 countries there. So it was a challenge, but it was a central guided organization. So you formulate a central strategy and you can roll out to the whole organization. Within Vebego, that was completely different, because again, 80 companies and 5 countries, very decentral. In fact, it's an organization of SMEs, 80 SMEs. That's how it is structured, and all of them doing things on in their own way, own activities. So you have landscaping, it's totally different than cleaning services, for example.
Yeah, so you cannot work from top to bottom, but it really has to be bottom up and grassroots level.
I had to think about a central strategy and roll it out in a decentral system. Yeah. So you have to find common goals. And the way I thought it would work is formulate a common goal. I call it the guided autonomy. So we agree where we want to go to, and you give them the possibility, flexibility to fill it in themselves, the pace and the way to reach that goal. And I think that's the only way it could work.
Yeah. I see some also changes, scary, uncertainty. Alba, do you have any idea of how to deal with that? How do you take away those fears of people as a resistance to change?
Yeah, well, maybe the next slide can help on that. Well, not this one, maybe. But the thing is, that one of the best ways to engage people is empowering them, no? So I think when you feel fear of uncertainty, when you are not clear of what you have been asked, you don't know what to do. So make clear your goals, make clear the commitments, make clear where do you want to go, and and make sure your statements. I think it's one of the best ways to end with this fear, no? Be clear and put all the goals in front of everyone.
Yeah. So actually what Roy was talking about, make a clear overall like a direction where you want to go, but also give them that space to think about how they will get there, and give them some choice in the matter as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, implement it locally and based on their own systems they are used to. And communicate a lot, everything. Also when things are not working, talk about it, ask why it's not working, how could it work in the way that fits their activities, the way they are working, etc. So communication is really essential.
And listening, no? Also.
Of course. Forgot to listen. Yes, listening.
So bi-directional, because sometimes we communicate a lot, but we don't listen, no? And if you don't
I'm a very bad listener, I know.
No, it wasn't
no,
about you,
that was a joke. No, I understand.
But sometimes we communicate a lot, but we don't listen. We don't know why the resistance is there. We don't understand their barriers. We don't understand what their fears. So this is the best way to engage people, no?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, if you can jump to the next one. So also Thomas commented on that, no? System change need mind change, no? So how can we promote this change and focusing especially on sustainability, no?
And the tip of the iceberg here is literally covered, but it says outcomes. Yeah. So I think usually we're very much focused on outcomes, even though that is usually the thing that people see. Not on this slide, but...
Yeah. Sorry for the mentee part there. Yeah, so we see results. Oh, people is not recycling enough. People is not doing what I have asked them to do. Have we asked why? No, sometimes asking why several times, we arrive to the correct answer. No, so the root of that is that our outcomes, our practices, are based on our behaviors, obviously. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I was talking correctly to the mic. And our behaviors are driven by our mindsets. So how can we embed sustainability, no, on people's mindsets? Sometimes, no, I feel that with sustainability, if we see it as a requirement, as a compliance, or I have to do this because it's sustainable, and we should be sustainable because we know, everybody knows that we should be sustainable, that sustainability is the right thing to do. But knowing and doing it's are different things, no? We all know a lot of things. We all know that alcohol is bad. We all know that a veggie diet is better than a meat diet, or we all know that smoking is bad. We all know that, but
We'll become alcohol neutral in 2050.
so why we are not, there's a gap between knowing and acting, and the reason is because we act depending on on our mindset. So how can we embed sustainability in the mindsets of people? No? Once we embed sustainability in the mindset of an organization, the sustainability will be seen as a growth, as an opportunity, as a catalyst of change, no? And will not be seen as a requirement. So if we empower and we promote and we work and we make efforts, I mean, it's not an easy job to do, but if we make efforts to really embed sustainability as a source of innovation and as a source of growth, as an opportunity, then no, we will actively embed and incorporate sustainability. We will innovate. We will think differently. We will change the way we think. We will change the way we act, and we will actually make a real change, and we will make real impact. This is not the easy track, but it's a good track. It's the one that will lead us to success.
And that means that Roy will have to reach 42,000 mindsets to actually change the entire course of the organization and the culture in the organization. That is quite a challenge you set out for him.
I know.
Maybe to go back and to see whether you find that sustainability is also integrated in the mindset of your organization. We're very curious to hear whether you think there's still a lot to do, whether you're already working on it, or whether you think everyone in our organization is already thinking super sustainably.
We are in a modest audience here, no?
There are a few super sustainable ones.
That's
so
good,
let's
maybe it's carbon neutral group. I don't know.
Yeah. Of course, Climate Neutral Group is doing everything they can. Most people are working on it, which I think is a very, very good outcome, considering. Roy, where would you plot Vebego?
Yeah, well, how do you define integrated? You know, so
Of the 42,000 people, how many have you reached?
yeah, so we started at the top. So last year, after being in charge for 3 months, I presented my strategy to top 100, and slowly on we are rolling out to the whole company. So cascade sessions, I've been organizing sessions in all countries, inviting people. So I think till now, probably 10% of them.
Okay, well that's. I mean, there's still a lot to go, but I think
that's
you
only
might
informing, informing them about the new strategy,
Yeah.
the goals, the SDGs, the teams, that kind of things. But still, they don't know yet what they have to do themselves.
Yeah. So if you think about mindset, there's definitely still.
We have
lots to
really
do.
a long road to go. Yeah.
Well, Alba did tell us it wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, well, here we have some ingredients, no, that we can use to foster this change of mindset, no? And I think that all ingredients are necessary. Sometimes obviously we focus on that we will have like a sustainable system. No? We need to create sustainable processes, sustainable structures, sustainable KPIs. No, most of all, I know that we know how to get there. It's also challenging, but we are working on it. Most of companies are working on it, but sometimes they don't use the other pillars. No,
So they're very focused on the leadership pillar of it and not on the rest, or
no, I think we are more focusing sometimes in the system. No, so we are creating formal mechanisms. We are creating processes. We are creating, for example, no, in Spain we are doing a lot of awareness campaigns on citizenship to explain how do they have to recycle. So we create a recycling system. No, we have our bins. We have all the people know that this is working to collect the disposals, the waste. But are we focusing on how the people is using this system? So we know in our environmental campaigns, for example, we need to reinforce the skills. We need to explain and to share the knowledge, to know how to use them. It may seem obvious, but knowledge is one of the biggest barriers to recycling, for example. We need to make clear the purpose of it, and this is the second barrier I think we face the most. No, we need to convince them why this is important, and we want to make them want to do that. So I recycle because I want to recycle. So just as an example, no, I think that we need to foster this purpose, this understanding, this motivation, this conviction around why we need to make that change. No, so from the 4 pillars system, I think it's one that it's the most clear one. We all have the system made, but then we need to teach them how to use this system. We need to develop skills, to develop capacities, capabilities, competencies. We need to assess, okay, is our team has the capabilities, has the competences to make this change? We are asking maybe too much. We need to upgrade them, we need to upskill them to be able to commit to this change. And the last one, which is the role modeling, no, the leaders. This is what Thomas was saying before, and also Renee mentioned it. We need change agents inside our organizations. No, we need leaders. We need to foster that, and we need to work on that. So we need to create motivation. We need to engage, and we need to show that everyone should be on board. So I think these 4 pillars are like the 4 key ingredients.
At which level do you think the agents should be operating in a company? Should it be managers or operational people?
Yeah, I think that sometimes leadership is assumed that should be like the senior team, but for me, each team should have leaders and should be change agents in all.
Yeah. Well, what I did was first thing build an organization, the governance. So formed a core team and a virtual team. So that were my change agents. So I appointed in every business, the big companies first, one person who I functionally steered on sustainability, and I asked them to roll out a strategy in their companies, and they are still operating.
Did you appoint them, or did they also come forward saying we want to be a change agent?
I chose the biggest companies first, and some important staff members, for example, from HR and legal department, and I asked the managers to appoint one person for a certain number of hours per month, and the bigger the company, the more hours they had to make available.
So then you also encourage the system, but then of course you still need to make sure that those leaders also have the purpose and the conviction to actually be the change agent within.
I educated them first,
okay,
and let
so
them
it's the
follow
skills,
trainings of sustainability.
Okay, and the purpose sort of flowed from the upskilling, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us some more on the next slide for how we should actually implement these pillars?
I don't know how How are we on time, or we are?
We should
Okay,
keep going.
Yeah, well, this is a very simple, summarizing of a short journey that we should start or develop. The first thing that what I think it's sometimes obviously the most important is to do this internal assessment, but by profiles. It's not a coffee for all, so we will need to prioritize. Obviously, maybe your procurement team needs to have a specific training. Maybe your operations team. No, sometimes the sustainable team, more or less.
And also in the different layers where they are in the company,
Yeah,
because they have a different profile.
Yeah. So the sustainable team, sometimes we don't focus on them, but the other teams in the company, the communications team, the procurement team, everyone should have this journey, this learning plan, and we should create a specific learning plan for each profile. Obviously, we should prioritize. We should start for the most important ones.
The top 100, like you did. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can start rolling out, and it could be more intense or less intense depending on the priority, of each team. Once we have defined the needs of each profile, we need to design this learning roadmap. Obviously, it should be an engaging one. We should assess competences. We should use a compelling narrative. No, we should use storytelling. We should use ways to engage. To make this bi-directional. Not just I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. It must be an empowering process. And obviously, here digital tools can help. In big companies, I assume that it's also a good way to scale and to make things bigger. So we can design this learning roadmap using digital tools, maybe, and also we need to design. So we need to design taking a lot into account the evaluation metrics. I know it's the last point, but sometimes evaluation, it's the way that we have to really measure the impact and to really improve and reinforce and to create like a loop, a continuous loop of improving. So we need to create these KPIs. Sometimes I feel that with the learning processes, we just measure maybe, do you like the session? Yeah, I like it a lot. Or do you learn? And then we make a test. And yeah, I've learned a lot. But are we measuring how these learnings are being applied? So are we measuring the outcomes? Are we measuring how these outcomes are really improving the results of the company? So we need to make these 4 levels of evaluation, not just the 2 first ones that are like the most obvious.
And
I don't know.
Roy, do you feel like evaluation also is something that you do within Vebego? Have you made a structure around that as well?
Yeah, we have chosen for a measured impact. So everything we do should be measurable, and by measuring it, we can steer it. And also I want to report it. Everything we do, we want to report it, want to benchmark it with other companies, and also benchmark our internal organizations with each other.
Yeah, so it's definitely a really key aspect to the learning journey that you have internally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also I think that celebration, it's a good last point.
That's a good example that we're here at the 20th anniversary.
Exactly. So sometimes, I think that we are not sharing enough our small wins, and I think that sharing these wins, celebrating it, showing that we are making steps. It's the best way to foster this engagement, to promote this change, to show that it is possible. Or the best ways to promote change is to show that we are going to win. If we don't show that we are winning, maybe someone will jump out of the boat.
This is a great bridge to the next question that we have for you. Is, can you share an achievement or an improvement in your company culture that you've already seen, that you've witnessed regarding sustainability? So is there something that you can already, that pops to mind? This is something that actually we should be celebrating internally, and maybe you haven't really given it much thought, but the fact that you're already now recycling your waste or you're separating your waste streams, it could be as small as that. Very curious to see whether we already have some wins.
They're hiring me. Oh, interesting.
So maybe there's finally a CSR manager or someone who is working on sustainability within the company. It's a great start for someone to then implement the activator journey. There's no plastics anymore, which is quite a big one, I think, for most companies. The Ajax Foundation, so setting up really a foundation, reduction of travel, best practices sharing. These are already quite some achievements that we're seeing here. This is really fantastic to see. There's someone who already changed their entire car fleet to electric vehicles. That's a major achievement. Much ahead of the curve of clients that I'm working with every day, at least. Green traveling plan, project group. So already having those sustainability leaders that can now go into the organization. Climate neutral fruit, yay, certification. There's already a lot here, so it's really great to see that you're already taking lots of actions, and it's definitely not just knowledge within your organization, but acting as well. Looking at the time and also seeing that we want to keep some questions for you. Last slide.
Yeah,
Alba, last message that you want to give to people?
I think that has all been said, but we know that we are in a decisive time. Companies are activating and are investing a lot in training and in developing skills in their teams, and I think it's a good time. We are fastly changing, we are fastly evolving, so investing in human capital is the best way to move forward and to achieve the goals that we need to reach. So I think the numbers speaks for themselves, and I think that we don't know if we have time for the questions. So
we have 5 minutes for some questions.
Okay.
So please, if you have a question, just raise your hand, and we're very keen to hear what questions you have for these speakers. Thomas, I will.
I can start.
Yeah, it's for the video. They otherwise.
Oh wow, that changes the question. It's for Roy. I was wondering about you needing to change the mind of over 40,000 people within your group. Which group of employees do you find the most difficult to address and to change?
Is the operational part, because it's for some people rather complicated, to understand why sustainability. And to give you a very simple example, I've been cleaning at Schiphol myself when I started this job, and I'm trying to make them aware of the fact that you don't need a lot of chemicals to clean. Sometimes it's the right combination of water and cleaning material, but it's for some people very difficult to understand. They still think if I use a lot of chemicals, it will be much cleaner. So that kind of simple things is complicated. It will take time.
Yeah, it's really a mindset change indeed. Yeah. Who has another question for our two panelists? Could you maybe also introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm James from Anthesis. It's a question really about how you influence mindsets rather than just knowledge through the learning journeys that you take people on. We said that knowledge often isn't enough to actually sort of change behavior and produce the outcomes that we want. So what kinds of experiences would you give people to influence those mindsets? It could be for anybody who wants to leap on that one.
No, I can try. I mean, I think that when we design educational programs, we try to use those 4 ingredients always. So I think storytelling, fostering purpose, for me, purpose and conviction, and that it will open the door to knowledge. So sometimes there is resistance to know, and there is resistance to learn. We all, I think that we all have been there somewhere. So the first part is obviously to to enlighten and to use all the tools that we have, gamification, maybe storytelling, obviously listening, no, in the designing process. What are the audience? Know the context of the audience, no, to make this personalization of the learning, no. So we need to know that we are talking to people, that people has their context. So contextualize it a lot, storytelling, inspire, and once they are open to learn and once they are open to change, then give them the tools and empower them with knowledge, with skills, and obviously accompany all this with leadership, with role modeling. Sometimes in the educational programs that we are working, we just have 2 hours or something, to impact someone. And this is very difficult, but in companies, we have 8 hours a day. So we have plenty of time, to make this nudging, to foster, to make this kind of interactions with them, to be reinforcing this change of mindset. So it's not an instant thing, but I think time and leadership and obviously skills and purpose are the key ingredients that should be aligned obviously with the system, no? And they should know why they are doing that, not just for inspiration. It's just for the performance of the company. So they should know that their improvements will go, and will help and will improve the performance of the company.
I just use best practices, so I collect them from everyone and try to make it best methods, the best things, share with each other, and they learn from each other.
Is there a last question for Roy? Because he has to leave afterwards. I see one question. Alba will be present at the conference all day, so you can always try to get some more knowledge out of her. Could you please introduce yourself and then ask your question?
Hi, my name is Odette Pimentel Silva. I run the Dutch Association for Travel Management. So I have 2 questions actually. What is the time path you chose to roll out your roadmap to get the full company sustainable? And then next one is, are you involving travel policy within the sustainability goals?
Yeah, so the strategy is planned for starting 1st of 2022 till 1st of January 2025, so 3 years. And is that Anders Reise platform you're talking about? No, okay, because we are a partner of Anders Reise, but commuting is part of it. And we have to, by law, we have to report the commuting per employee. So we have to think about, how they have to commute. So we started, for example, recruiting people as close as possible in the range of the projects. For the clean object, for example. Yeah.
And commuting, but also travel, business travel?
With regard to traveling, we have a policy with regard to cars that has to be electrical vehicle. When I started, I just had bought a car for 3 months, and then I had to buy a new one, an electrical one. We limit our traveling by plane. So, for example, I'm once per every 2 months, a week in Switzerland, a week in Germany, Belgium. I travel by train, even to Switzerland. So that kind of policies are in place.
And then you're also really leading by example. So you're showing the other managers.
And last week, for example, we had our Top 100 conference in Vurendal, in Limburg. Everybody traveled by train and electrical vehicle and carpooling. From Switzerland, they took a bus, everyone, together.
I think that is a fantastic last inspirational note to end this presentation on. I want to thank you very much for being here. We won't hold you much longer because there is a session at 12 by Volker. Where is it? Oh, also back to Hurt. So we're actually where you came from. You're allowed. So thank you very much and hope you enjoy the rest of the day.